Welcome to Brews in Boxing. I'm your host, Raider Live. As you can see, Filthy Rich has the week off. But I'm still joined by my friend, my partner, my comrade in arms, Judge Jimmy James. Judge Jimmy James, how you doing this week?
Not doing too bad. Weather got a little colder, so that just means a season's coming upon us, but hopefully it stays fall as long as possible and keeps that snow a little bit away anyway, but feeling good.
Well, I want the cold weather so we can go ice fishing. It's also Judge's birthday season. You know, when the weather gets cold, the birthday season is right around the corner here. We had a little fun going to the Vikings game last week against the Lions. Somehow they found a way to almost lose that, but hey, that's what the Vikings do. As I said, Filthy Rich has the week off, but he gets a week off every once in a while. This week we got just brews and news, got a few news things to get into, and then of course we have to talk about the early fights, but of course the biggest heavyweight fight probably in the last decade between Fury and Wilder. I mean, it was an amazing fight. We watched together, James. We have lots of things to say about it. Got a lot of comments about all the controversies around it. So I can't wait to get into that. But before we do that, since the name of the show is Brews and Boxing, we have to crack a beer. So, James, happy early birthday to you, sir.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Cheers.
All right, let's move on with brews and news. All right, brews and news this week. Just 4 bits of news to get to. First one, Adrian Broner, AB, Always Billion, should probably change his name to Always Busted, just got arrested again for a probation violation. In case you're keeping track at home, he has more arrests in the last few years than he has wins. So I think Always Busted might be a better line. Maybe he spent all that money on lawyers. Who knows? James, what do you think about this probation violation that AB got busted for? And what's it going to do to his fighting career?
Well, first of all, there's a reason that they call him the problem, because obviously he always has a problem with the law, because this is just ridiculous. I'm not 100% sure. So he was supposed to, at like the beginning of April or something like that, or March, he was supposed to be in intensive outpatient treatment, whatever that means, for whatever. That's what he didn't do, and that's why he has this probation violation.
It was for anger management, apparently.
Oh, so that's the extensive outpatient treatment program. Okay.
Yeah. So Goose Fraba.
I mean, I don't know, man. Eventually he's just, his name is the problem, and he's always got a problem. And I think now his problem is going to be he's not going to be able to make money in boxing anymore because he's not going to be fighting. I mean, hopefully we'll have to see exactly what happens in terms of the punishment that he does receive for this. I don't know. I mean, you said it was that he's got more arrests than wins in the past couple of years, so I don't know how many this is on
4 arrests to 2 wins.
Oh my god. So eventually, I don't know, man. Eventually something's gonna have to break, right? One of the others gonna have to break. But I don't know. I mean, there's always hope, I guess, because Josh Gordon keeps getting reinstated by the NFL somehow, and I don't know. So that's the situation I kind of feel like here. So I'm not sure he's still going to be a name, that's for sure. But man, he should really try to figure out how to right the ship, right?
Well, maybe he'll be like the Rick Vaughn of boxing. He'll come back out of the California Penal League and he'll fight somebody. Didn't you guys talk about a week or two that he'd be a great opponent for somebody? I can't remember who the opponent was, but. I also like to say 1.5 wins because I don't think he beat Santiago. By the way, we had that debate on here. I still think Santiago won that fight. Rich adamantly disagreed, but it's, what do we do?
So this would have been he's a name that for Boots. That's who we brought it up for. Like Boots would have been able to take on him at welterweight. I mean, or whatever, and then go from there. So that's what we brought up.
Yeah, well, he still wouldn't got close to that win versus arrest total then because he ain't beating Boots, I'll tell you that. All right, from one ridiculous thing to the next, Terence Crawford says he would beat Canelo. I know that's going to be tough for you to defend there, James, but super fan Terence Crawford over there might have to eat some words here because he says he'd beat Canelo, but he also warned Spence not to move up. because he continues to rip on Spence, even though they will never fight. What do you think about this statement by your boy Terence Crawford that he would beat Canelo? There's quite a weight difference there, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Defend that one.
Let's just start off with saying a little quote. Sometimes I can't believe it that I'm the best fighter in the world. I'm the best. I really believe it. I'd be like, damn, I'm Terence Crawford. Said Terence Crawford. So yeah, I love Crawford. Big fan. Head of the fan club, right? I'm sorry, man, but 20 pounds is 20 pounds. And I don't know if you've got the I don't know if that would happen for you. That would be interesting. Definitely. I think that's a tough ask. I think that's a tough ask just because of how far we are. But talking about pound for pound, but everybody at the same weight, he would have a shot for sure. But like everybody else we've been talking about with Canelo, everybody seems to have a shot and nobody seems to be able to beat him, right? So maybe he can change my mind if he actually beats Porter fairly easy, but I just don't see that happening. I mean, I think it's gonna be a tough fight, and I don't know, man. That's weird. That's just weird and straight out of right field. But the other part of this is what the Spence. He doesn't want Spence to move up, huh?
Right.
So is that because he wants to fight Spence?
I don't think so. I think he just wants to command another division, and he's never going to command one of the weight classes as long as Spence is there because they're not ever going to fight. I think that's what it is. I think he wants to be the king of a weight class, and as long as he is where he is, and if he's going to move up to get away from Spence's weight class, I think he doesn't want Spence to move up because he'll never get that fight taken care of. That's the way I looked at it anyway, but I was just so thrown back by that he'd beat Canelo. That's I couldn't get past that.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't want Spence to move up until these two fight either. If he gets past Crawford, then, or I mean, if he gets past Porter, then this is a fight to make. I don't see why you wouldn't. I really hope he doesn't move up. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's interesting. Terence Crawford, the showman, right?
Right. I just don't know. I understand why he brings up Canelo in that, because there's no way he's ever going to move up to anywhere close to where Canelo is now. Mm-hmm. I don't think the two people that Canelo has lost to, Triple G and Mayweather, I don't think Crawford could beat either one of them because they're just both. Well, Mayweather, would win by decision because that's what he does, but Triple G's even too big for him, and he's smaller than Canelo now. So I don't know. I mean, where do you go on that? Is it just ridiculous? And I like it. Usually, when a fighter makes a statement like that, it's to set something up. But there's nothing to be set up here.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see this fight. Canelo's not going to move down at all. Crawford's not going to be able to make a jump from 147 to 168. I mean, unless he's knows something we don't. But
not only that, Canelo's on the way to 175.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you got for this is if you put him in the same weight class, and that weight isn't an issue for the skills alone. I'd say he's got a chance, but let's see it, right? We know what you're going to get with Canelo. Crawford definitely moves pretty well and has a style that's tough to adjust to, but I don't know, man. I'd probably go with Canelo at this point, which is why I have Canelo above Crawford on my pound for pound list to begin with. So
not only that, but one of your quotes that you said is Canelo will fight anybody anywhere. He wants to fight the fights. That's why he left his own and everything like that. He wants to fight fights. He wants to take on everybody. It's harder. It's like pulling teeth at Crawford to fight anybody of note recently. I mean, this Porter fight coming up is about the biggest one that he's had in like 5 years.
Yeah, I'm blaming Bob Arum on that. That's Bob Arum's fault, man. I blame Bob Arum 100%.
Hey, Bob Arum lost a house because of Crawford. I'm just saying.
I don't care. Look, man, Rich would agree with me.
He could have built a mansion. Well, it's Rich's night off, so
whatever, man.
You're stuck with me, buddy.
Yeah, I am.
All right, let's move on because we could talk about Crawford all night and this
Yeah,
ridiculousness. But some more ridiculous statements out there. Rolly Romero says that Davis is going to be the easiest fight of his career. That Tank Davis, the one that destroys everything in his path, the smaller version of Ivan Drago, basically. Anything he touches, he destroys, is going to be the easiest fight of Romero's career. I don't know which is more ridiculous, saying Crawford would beat Canelo or Romero is gonna or Davis is gonna be the easiest fight of a career for Romero. I'll let you compare which is more ridiculous and what's he expect out of this? Is it pay-per-view numbers? I don't think people are gonna like care what
Like,
Raleigh has to say.
this, if you want to tell me which one is more likely, it is more likely that Crawford beats Canelo than Raleigh knocking out Tank in one round or even beating Tank. Like, I'm sorry.
Easiest fight of his career.
Not happening. The fact that he says this is the easiest fight of his career, man, this boy, something's wrong. Something's wrong up here, right? I mean, confidence is one thing, but there's a fine line between between genius and crazy. And I don't know, man. From what I've seen, I don't see that. Now, Raleigh has been calling out Tank for a while, like years. But so and there could be bad blood, like actual personal bad blood between these guys, which is entirely possible. But man, I just don't see it. Like Romero doesn't have good enough boxing skill to do anything against Tank. Tank's defense is going to be, it doesn't even have to be stellar. It just has to be decent. And then he just has to connect a couple of times. And I think Romero's done. So
it's like he's already been pre-concussed before this fight has even happened.
Right. Yeah, that's a possibility, man. Maybe we should get checked out by the docs right now just to make sure. But yeah, it's not going to be the easiest fight of his life. And I'm going to feel bad when he gets knocked out by Tank.
Well, I was just curious that I had to look up some of these people that were better than Tank Davis that Raleigh has fought here. You got Avery Sparrow, obviously, is much better than Tank. Anthony Yigit, who it took him 7 rounds to knock out. How about Jackson Martinez, which he won by decision after 12 rounds? Much easier than that fight. I mean, that's a barn burner fight. I mean, you want to talk about Rocky type movies? You talk Romero versus Avery Sparrow. I mean, it's just
oh boy.
I don't understand this. The smack talk this week is just it's off the. That's all the news there is this week because apparently everyone's trying to just out ridiculous the next guy. It's weird.
It's fair.
All right, let's move on to unless you have any more final thoughts on good old Raleigh there. I call him Rolly, but he's got me rolling on the ground. I know you guys were laughing about that last week, but he's got me rolling on the ground laughing after that.
No, I'm good.
Right on. All right. Beterbiev is set to fight Marcus Browne officially December 17th. There was talk that Beterbiev might be fighting Canelo here soon after Canelo beats Plant, but apparently he's got a fight in December, which would put any Beterbiev Canelo fight probably next March, maybe Cinco de Mayo, maybe probably Cinco de Mayo fight sounds about right. But Beterbiev versus Marcus Browne. Marcus Browne was high on my list when we did that list. That was a while ago, but I don't think he's going to beat Artur Beterbiev. What do you think about this fight for Marcus Browne, Artur Beterbiev? Is this one worth watching? Is it going to be at your house? Are you buying this? What are we doing?
Well, there's no way this is on pay-per-view. So, and I think it's on ESPN Plus. So I'm pretty sure I already have this. So yeah, you can come over and watch it. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, what do I make of the fight? Now, Beterbiev is Beterbiev. He just destroys people. His last fight knocked a dude out in like 7 rounds, I think, maybe even sooner than that. I don't remember exactly. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. He is obviously avoided because otherwise we would have seen him on a more steady basis. But for Marcus Browne to get this fight, I mean, I think it's a big step up for Marcus Browne. I'm kind of surprised that he's the one that's fighting Beterbiev because I honestly would figure that Joe Smith Jr. or Bivol would be the ones that are going after Beterbiev.
Or Gilberto Ramirez too. I mean,
yeah, fair. fair. A little bit. I don't know. Yeah, fair. Either way. I don't know, man. Marcus Browne still is. Don't know how he's the mandatory, but I don't understand the mandatories for a lot of this stuff anymore. Either way, do I think it's going to be a good fight? I don't know, man. I'm probably going to side on the fact that this is going to be I think it's going to be a beatdown. I think Browne's probably a better, definitely a more difficult opponent for Beterbiev, but I don't believe Browne was better than Godsvik, and I think Beterbiev will probably do what he did in his last fight to Browne. So I think it'll probably be a pretty easy KO for Beterbiev, in my opinion.
Well, looking back at the light heavyweight when we ranked them, only me and friend of the show Matt Seabach had Marcus Browne in our top 10s. I had him at 5. Bach had him at 7. Both you and Filthy Rich did not have him ranked. Beterbiev, the fight I want to see Beterbiev, if he wasn't going to fight Joe Smith Jr., was going to be Maxim Vlasov. I think that would have been a fun fight to watch. Vlasov actually coming off a big win, and he's interesting. I want to see more of him, basically, is what I want to see. I want to see him be able to take that step up. That would have been a much more interesting fight for me than Marcus Browne. But
that's fair.
He was
tough for Joe Smith Jr., I'll tell you that. Vlasov really put a number on Joe Smith Jr. and made him look a little silly. Kind of surprised that Joe Smith Jr. won that fight, to be honest. But
yeah, it was close. Vlasov very well could have won that fight, and I'm pretty sure he won the last fight. He came back with an extra fight since Joe Smith Jr. But maybe not. Maybe I'm remembering the fight before the Joe Smith Jr. fight. But either way, Vlasov, he earned a lot of respect in mine. I think he deserved a shot up there if Joe Smith Jr. wasn't going to take it. But that's the way I look at it. You got any final thoughts on that fight? We'll obviously in December we'll break it down a little more, but and prediction wise. But anything else? That's on ESPN Plus, you said?
Yeah, ESPN Plus. I'm just glad to see Beterbiev back in the action, right? Maybe this sparks the fuel to get one of those guys in there and he gets a bigger fight. Maybe Canelo, after he fights Plant, moves up 175 and fights Beterbiev. Who knows? Time will tell.
It's got to be a Cinco de Mayo fight. That's got to be who he's planning for Cinco de Mayo. That's what I imagine. Oh. All right, well, that's all for the news this week. We got a lot to get into in Brews and Reviews because biggest heavyweight fight in recent time happened this last week. So let's get into that. All right, Brews and Reviews, very exciting Brews and Reviews because we get to talk about right here the trilogy. Amazing fight. But before we get to that, there were two other fights that we wanted to touch on beforehand. And I know Jimmy James, Judge, you're very excited to talk about these two because there was a lot of things to talk about in these two. First of all, let's talk about Berlanga versus Caceres. Is that how I say it? I didn't say it right. Caceres. I can never say it right.
Don't worry.
Berlanga wins by decision, but got knocked down brutally in the ninth. Was that everything you expected? I thought coming in, we thought Berlanga would kind of cakewalk over this one. Apparently not. What were your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I didn't think it was going to be a cakewalk by any means, but he's getting, he started off 16-0, 16 first round knockouts, right? Eventually he's going to start getting better competition. The fight he had previously, he went the distance. Now this fight was definitely his toughest fight to date. And it was a good fight. It definitely showed that Berlanga has flaws, right? Because Caceres is not he's not a bad fighter at all. A lot of heart, definitely, el terrible. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think Berlanga was going to be this bad. He didn't look that great, right? He looked almost like gas, right? He looked like he wasn't conditioned well, which is, fair to say.
We can talk about later about
100%. But I think I thought it was a good fight. Definitely surprised that he got knocked down. Caceres was taking some wild shots and was landing because Berlanga wasn't moving his face. He just didn't move his head at all. And he got on the line. Oh, 100%. Like, I don't know. He's got some flaws. It was still a good fight. I mean, but man, that was I think that's a wake-up call for him, being that he's part of the takeover. So yeah, you got some work to do, son.
And by the way, for those of you who don't habla español, el terrible, was that it? means the terrible.
Yes, that is correct.
The Nino.
Exactly.
Berlanga has got some things to prove. There was definitely chinks in the armor there. I'll tell you that. The conditioning is going to be one of them. And when he's not fighting somebody from the boxcar circuit to knock out in the first round, it's a little different. It's a little different. Let's move on to the next big future heavyweight. Efe Ajagba was fighting Frank Sanchez, the Cuban. And this one was an interesting, great fight to watch. I thought Efe Ajagba was always the scary fighter. He's the one that I believe had somebody walk out on him here at the
Armory. Yeah.
At the Armory. Says, no, I ain't fighting this guy. And Efe Ajagba, there was some controversy in this fight, but Frank Sanchez did win the fight at the end. I think the decision, if you take out the controversy, was correct. But before we get to the controversy, what did you think of Efe Ajagba and, more importantly, Frank Sanchez after this fight?
Well, Frank Sanchez, and this is actually the first time that I've seen him fight, which is a little surprising to me. The more I think about it, because he's part of the Canelo camp. So he's part of that, the Valdez, all them guys. And he came out with, and the best way I can describe it is a very interesting style, right? He didn't seem very standard. It was switching up stances a little bit. He had his guard up, he had his guard down. He was leaning forward sometimes through half a round and leaning
didn't look
back
like a
through
heavyweight.
half a round. Like, yeah, he seemed really, yeah, that's fair. I mean, he definitely seemed way more agile. And was just, I think that was really messing with Efe. I mean, Efe came out with the same way he always fights, kind of moving forward, doesn't really, kind of cuts off the ring for the most part. Kind of, I don't want to really make this thing, but like Wilder-esque, where he's looking for a big shot. But he still wasn't that fantastic, right? It looked like he was stifled a little bit. So it was kind of, I think it was another, like we just said with Berlanga, I think it was an eye opener for Efe, right? That was kind of as they were touching on in this fight too, real quick, is that they were saying that this is a fight this early in each of these guys' career that you just don't see, because they're both big, names that are up and coming, that are undefeated, and no belts or anything, but maybe there was one ADC belt or something like that. The chance
there was no belts. I don't think.
Either way, it was still. Yeah, it was just it's something you just don't see. So I'm glad those two got to fight. Hopefully we'll be able to see a second fight for them once they get a little more fights under their belt. But yeah, I think all in all, I think it was a good fight. So yeah, I mean, what were you talking about earlier? You're saying there was some controversy.
There's controversy, but two things before we get into that. The first thing, this proves Filthy Rich's point that you don't need a belt to have a fantastic fight. They didn't really have a belt or title. These two were young up and comers, fighting for basically their name recognition out there. And the second thing I want to point out is this is a fight that they both executed their game plans to a T. Like, Efe continuously cut off the ring and put him in corners like he does. And Sanchez's was obviously to duck in and out and constantly. It was like they both executed their game plan to a T. Which plan worked better was Sanchez's. But saying that, and Fairness and Information Act, I did bet money on Efe Ajagba. Fairness and Information Act, there was a part where Efe got knocked down. He's on his knee, and Sanchez delivered a Hadouken-like uppercut to his face while he's down. And the announcers, for some reason, stated that Efe was not down. But the replay, he's clearly on his knees, and he was there for a significant amount of time in boxing, and he took a shot to the face that I think should have been a disqualification for Sanchez. Personally, watching it, you could definitely have called it a disqualification at the highest point, but they didn't even give Efe 5 minutes to recover. They just like, nope, that was clean. I was screaming at the TV, obviously for financial reasons, but we were both going, that was awful. What was that? Your thoughts on that? Looking back at that.
Oh yeah, no, that was egregious, man. That was he definitely, Sanchez hit him. It took a second for the shot that affected Efe to go down. However, he was down on one knee for I'd love to say the phrase,
almost a count of two
hot minute, man. Like and then Sanchez just did an uppercut right to his face. Like, that is not necessary. If not, I could definitely see an argument for a DQ. At least a point deduction. Yeah. At least a point deduction. I couldn't.
And 5 minutes to recover. They didn't even give him 5 minutes to recover.
They should have done that too. Yeah, like
they should have canceled the knockdown or something. I don't know.
But either way, that was pretty ridiculous. I don't know how that happened. But then, I mean, even to touch base further on this, they also missed a knockdown. Yeah. At least in my opinion, that Effie had against Sanchez, and they called it, I don't know, a slip
They called it a slip because in real time it did look like a slip. In real time, you even called it a slip. I remember watching. You goes, "Oh, that's a slip. That's a slip." Then you watch it again. It's like, no, he actually did hit him, and that's what caused the slip. And they have replay in boxing here, and they went back and they still said it was slip, which made no sense to me. How can you take replay and see that's not a knockdown, and then also have replay and not see that he was on the ground? I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, he was definitely on the ground. You can replay that too, apparently. And they didn't. And I'm sorry, Effie was never the same after that shot when he was down. I mean, it seemed like it took everything out of him for the most part. Like, he was constantly on his back feet, and he had no power at that point after taking that shot. And that's a brutal shot to take.
You could even look at him in the corner, man, and you could see that he was defeated. Like, he didn't have the fire. Like, he wasn't, his trainer was kind of yelling at him at points, but he would just be looking to the left or looking down, and he just wasn't there. Could have been a combination of that shot plus his frustration, because he was not landing punches like he normally does. So, like I said, I think it's a big learning experience. Losses aren't terrible on your record. Just to the casual fan, that makes a big difference. But I think he's going to come back and be much better because of it.
I'd love to see this fight again. Actually, I'd love to see this fight run back a second time. I don't know if Effie wants that fight right away.
Yeah, give it some years. Give it some years. Meet up later.
Maybe next Christmas. Yeah, 2022 Christmas. Yeah, that gives it a year. That's a good thing. Let these guys get on with their career a little bit.
That's fair.
All right, let's get on to the big one here. Fury versus Wilder. A fight that we had been talking about for months now, that we're like, why do we have to have this fight again? This is stupid. After Wilder sues Fury so he doesn't have to fight Joshua. A lot of things have happened since that lawsuit. Anthony Joshua loses at Usyk, which none of us saw coming. I'll tell you that right now. And I don't think any of us saw Fury and Wilder 3 being this great a fight, by the way. This great a fight. And how this fight has pretty much blown up the heavyweight division. I mean, you don't really know what to do with this fight. I want to get your reaction on this fight. First off, James, we'll get into we'll break it all down, but just watching that fight, you and me watched it together, and I don't know if we sat down for much of that fight. We kept jumping up on different points of that fight. Go, whoa, because it was so back and forth. You've never seen so many knockdowns in a heavyweight fight, and where it's like, oh, well, it's over. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, no, it's over again. No, it's not. I mean, put the crowd through the roller coaster ride that we went through.
Well, a little bit. We'll go with reactions right off the bat, right? And first of all, I'd like to say I definitely thought Usyk could beat Joshua. So go watch the show. Anyway,
okay. You didn't pick him to beat Joshua.
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
I thought you said he could beat him. I didn't think you picked
him. Yeah, but I picked him.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll give you props if you did. I'm going to look back on that.
Good. Well, we'll see if I gotta do a, what do you call it? One of them statements later on in the show.
Redaction.
But a redaction, exactly. I don't know, man. But yeah, I mean, this is probably, the fight was great. The Fury Wilder definitely was in the same boat as you. Like, why are we even doing this again for the third time? But it was great, man. Like, it's yeah, I don't want to, if I start going too much into the details, we're going to touch on too many things here. So I mean,
hold on a second here, James. We have this is a first for us. We have a phone call calling in on his week off. We got Filthy Rich is calling in from his.
You guys hear me?
Oh, look at this guy.
You hear me? Am I here?
What do you mean? What are you doing?
Calling in on his week off. He heard we were talking about Fury Wilder. Perfect timing there, Rich. We were just talking about. Yes, we're here. We're here. We were just talking about the filthy. Yes, we can hear you. Are you on the moon or where are you?
I'm at an undisclosed location, but
Yeah.
I am not in jail, so I do have phone access.
That's good.
Look,
Allegedly.
all I have is root beer, but it's Herman Killebrew root beer, so I'm gonna crack that one open, drink to you guys.
But no one celebrates a week off like you do with root beer. I'll tell you that.
I want to hear some more, but like, look, I want to talk about Malik Scott. I think I doubted Malik Scott quite a bit. I think he's actually a lot better than what I give him credit for. I like the fact that he sorry. I like the fact that he gave Wilder good advice. And I think this guy's going to be a good trainer. What are your thoughts? And I'll comment with you guys here in a little bit.
Well, didn't the trainer tell him you have the equalizer right here? Use it. That's what his thing was, right?
Well, yeah.
Right hand.
What did the trainer say that you thought was good advice?
Well, so here's what I think. There was a few fights prior, and there was a bunch of hype, like, "Oh, you got this, you got this, you got this." Can go to anybody. What I liked Malik Scott saying was he gave Wilder a strategy and said, back up, use your fists, do it. Like, he was giving him direction rather than just hyping the man up. So Malik Scott will probably be a really good trainer. Deontay Wilder, I don't know where people had him ranked as far as like a heavyweight division goes, but just because of a loss does not mean you get knocked down a peg. If anything, he put up a damn good fight, and he could probably move up in some rankings. That wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Well, especially with the heavyweight division kind of blowing up. I mean, right now, where do you go from here? I mean, there was a bunch of different issues in this fight. One of the big issues that we talk about, which reminded me of you, for Filthy Rich, because I love that you called in to talk about. I want to bring it up with you in private, but I'll bring it up to you in public here on the show. You always said that Tyson won that first fight against Buster Douglas because the count was messed up. There's been a lot of talks that Fury had a slow count on his, I believe, second knockdown. How do you feel about that? Okay, and he's gone. Apparently,
we might have connection issues. That's all right.
He just put himself on mute right there.
Well, I don't know if he's still there or not. I don't know. This is first time caller, so obviously we have some issues with this.
We're not usually a call-in show, so it's even weird.
Yeah, fair enough. So, I'll chit chat real quick on that, because obviously slow counts is something that we were gonna touch on anyway when we start doing more of this, more of the breakdown. I honestly didn't see it. The first one seemed normal to me. The second one also seemed normal to me, except for the disruption where Wilder wasn't in his corner, right? He was moving too close,
wouldn't go to a neutral corner,
and
right.
and that's something on you. Like, if you aren't paying attention and that happens and it stops the ref because you're not following his instruction or doing what you're supposed to do, then that's what's going to happen. It's just, and that obviously is going to delay the count, which you might get an extra second or two depending on what happens. But I just didn't see it. I thought it was pretty quick back to it. I mean, he wasn't on the ground when this stuff happened. He was up, and the ref still does like he does with anybody else. Like, look at me, fists up, move forward. Can you continue? And if you follow all those stuff and he believes you, then you're going to continue. So
you guys there?
Yeah. Oh, hey, you're back.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, what happened? So were you asking me about Buster Douglas?
I caught that,
then I got cut off.
Oh, you said in the past that Mike Tyson actually beat Buster Douglas because there was a slow count in the first one. And people have been talking about that there was a slow count in this one for Tyson Fury in the second one on his second knockdown, where Wilder didn't go to the neutral corner right away, and the referee picked it up where he left off instead of looking at ringside and getting the count there. Do you feel like this was another one of them situations that Wilder actually might have an argument in this one or not?
He definitely has an argument on this one. This is like one of those judgment calls. Sometimes people are trained to hear the word 7, or they're trained to hear the word 8. And when you hear that word, you get up. So if it was a slow count, that's one thing, but we don't know if Tyson Fury was trained to just get up when you hear 8, get up when you hear 9. So it could have been, we could say this was fast count. Fury might be trained to get up at 8 no matter what.
Right.
So there is, Wilder has a case here. Just like Efe Ajagba has a case. I was listening earlier. Efe Ajagba has a case too, a disqualification. And in both instances, it is like a referee's discretion kind of thing. I don't think anyone got robbed here, but That's kind of my take on a slow count. He does have a case.
All right.
And can I say this quickly too?
Oh.
If there's a Wilder Fury 4 or a Fury Wilder 4, sign me up. I'm not bored. I'm not bored with this. I will see this again.
Okay. Real quick, all right? Because the ref was changed at the last minute of this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that could be a contributing factor to everyone in their slow count, and because this guy is a slower counter than other referees or grants more leniency on these get up and goes after someone's been knocked down? Do you think that's the reason that they had a last minute change? Because they still haven't decided why it happened.
Well, here's the thing. Like here's another thing. I don't know who the previous referee was supposed to be, but some of these referees could get happy and call the fight. He's down. I'm calling the fight. We don't need that. This is for the heavyweight championship of the world. There's one guy who's a lineal champion of the entire globe, and you want to knock this guy out. So slow counts are better than fast counts, because if there's a fast count, there's controversy. So if I'm Deontay Wilder and I want to knock this dude out, I'm not saying I want a slow count, but I want there to be no dispute that this guy was knocked out. And if you can count to 20 or something, I don't even know what we're going to do here. But if it's a slow count and you knock this guy out, you're not going to hear anyone on the internets and all these other places saying that Fury got robbed because of a fast count. So the slow count is probably the way to go. I feel like there was a slow count in a previous fight, either with these two or maybe a different fight. But if I'm a champion or if I'm a challenger, I want to knock the guy out with no dispute whatsoever. Even in WWF, you want a slow count when you win that title at WrestleMania. I'll drink to that.
I knew you were going to go there, because when you said count to 20, the first thing that came to my mind was King Kong Bundy demanding to count to 5. Instead of 3.
Kids don't remember that. The kids don't remember that.
But I think Fury has a history of always staying down until 8 or 9 and getting his mental capacity back, and he gets up at the end. He doesn't jump up right away because he wants to recover. I think that's so when people say it was a slow count, it should have been at 5 or 6. If that's the case, he would have got up earlier. I think that's just my.
Well, even Fury Wilder won with Jack Reese refereeing that fight. Jack Reese claims the dude was coherent and made the eye contact and all that stuff. I don't think there was dispute if it was a slow or fast count. It was a dispute that the ref should have stopped the fight after seeing someone get knocked down like that. But again, I'm going back to this is the lineal championship of the entire world. You don't call the fight because of a knockdown. And like you,
to be fair, he did though. Because he didn't count out. He didn't count out Wilder on the last one.
That's fair.
Just saying.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably right. And at the same time, I'll take my own advice there. Count to 10. Count to 10. Like, he's not getting up, but if he does, but Malik Scott, Malik Scott's got to protect his fighter the way Mark Breland did. And if Malik Scott's not throwing in the towel, that I don't know, man. It's really touchy, and I don't know if the ref should have stayed out this one. But I think I think last week I had Fury winning by a landslide decision. I thought Fury landslide won this fight, and
James was closest. He said knockout in the 10th, and it was the 11th.
Never mind what James is closest.
Come on.
Something else I want to touch on, a little controversy before we get to this too, is before the fight started, they were talking about that Wilder was talking about changing gloves because Fury wanted certain kind of horsehair gloves or whatever, and Wilder says it's great, we're going to do this kind of glove, and then Wilder ends up breaking his hand. Apparently, his right hand, I believe it was. That's his big knockout hand. He broke his hand using gloves that apparently he's never used before. Do you guys see this as a fatal flaw of Wilder, or do you think it was a well-timed risk that his power would be better in that kind of glove but you may break your hand? James, I'll start with you. Oh, okay. Well, I'll start with Rich again.
Let me jump in because I'm going to have to go here in a little bit. I'm short on time, but Mayweather was known for not fighting with horsehair gloves because horsehair gloves cut people open faster than regular leather gloves. And here's the other thing with the glove controversy. Alabama was playing that night. You think Deontay Wilder's missing the Alabama game, the Crimson Tide? They ended up losing, but that was a big game. So he was watching that game. I don't think there was anything involved with the gloves. I think this is a story about nothing, but I'm glad we were able to talk about it. Go ahead, James. That's all I want.
First up, he wasn't watching that game. Fury was watching anything. If you watch him, he was half asleep half the time. They kept going back to him for the fight.
But Wilder's from Alabama. Wilder was watching that.
I know. He wasn't watching nothing.
James, what do you think about the broken hand glove controversy?
I don't know, man. There was. Do I get it? 100%, right? Because that was one of Wilder's 7 excuses last fight. Is that he had gloves that were tampered with, right? And we watched it. They went through, I don't know, gloves after glove after glove after glove, going, these are good. No way, not happening, not happening. These are okay. All right, we're gonna go with these. So they're gonna be on even playing field, right? It's still, even for that, I don't think it really mattered, right? We don't know when he broke his hand, right? But I know in the first round he came out with a different strategy. After the third round, he wasn't the same. It's like almost the same as the fight previous. He just didn't look right. And I don't know, like I said, don't know what it was, man. If he just decided I'm abandoning my game plan, or maybe he broke his hand that early and the only thing he could do was revert back to his roots, but it didn't work. It just didn't work.
There wasn't a lot of hugging though either.
I mean, there was not crazy. I mean,
there wasn't a lot of hugging in this fight either, and he was still worn down a little bit. Not as much as the second fight.
Yeah, I mean, he got worn down. It looked like he was. You called this one. I mean, it looked like he was exhausted early, and I was giving him more credit during the fight. Like, nah, he's not exhausted. He's just changed his game plan or whatever, and they ended up being. Rewatching it again, that was not the case. He looked gassed. Something was wrong, right? So don't know when he broke his hand as far as that goes. I mean, they're both knocking each other out left and right with those, and those are all legitimate knockdowns. But I don't think I don't know, man. You can make excuses all you want, but if that's the first time he was fighting with it, maybe he just got to stay away from that. He just needs more padding.
But the strategy that he came out with, working the body to start on Fury, that was interesting. He abandoned it after like 2 rounds. He just worked the body the whole first round or two, and usually that would take it out of Fury, but it didn't. It seemed like it took everything out of Wilder after that one. You know,
it was
basically 4 or 5 rounds to knock him out.
It was messing Fury
but it seemed like Wilder is more out of breath though after that.
Oh, it's fair, but that's still doesn't matter. Either way, it was a great fight.
We like to talk about afterwards. There was some disrespect in the corner. Fury went over and said, "Hey, man, you're a legend. We did a good thing. I'm not a cheater, as you can see. I respect you. We did a great thing." And Wilder says, "I don't respect you. Get out of my corner." And then didn't shake his hand. A few days later, Wilder's come out with a statement, basically praising it. I'm not going to be holding him against this one because he got knocked down 3 times and his mind's probably not all in it at this point, and who knows the emotions going through it. But I think this is a controversy that's not really a controversy. But what do you guys think?
I don't know if Rich is there right now, but that's fine.
He's on vacation. Leave him alone.
I don't know if he's still here, man. But yeah, I mean, that is.
I'm still here. Sorry.
That is. Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Well, was it disrespectful or what?
In the moment, it seemed like it, but let's not overreact. I'd be angry too if the narrative now is Fury owns me. I think wasn't it Helenius fighting Kovnowski?
Yeah.
And Kovnowski is lost twice. I probably wouldn't want to shake his hand either. Kovnowski was an up and comer for quite a bit. I thought he was on the path to fight Deontay Wilder because they're both aligned with the PBC. So to talk about, I don't know, disrespectful. No, I don't think it was, man. That's it's just, you're supposed to be a poor sport. You're supposed to be in the moment. I don't want to shake. You guys don't want to have to shake the Yankees hand. Why would you want to shake the Lakers?
Oh, we couldn't have 1 week without the Yankees.
Hey, you had to answer the call.
Sorry, I forgot. Go ahead and comment.
Oh, here's what I gotta say. What's more disrespectful, right? What Wilder did to Fury afterwards, or Fury going up to Wilder at the right before the bell rang of the first round and him calling him a bitch.
That was awesome. I loved that.
And with crazy eyes.
Look, that was
But that was
mind
before the
games.
fight.
That was just a tactic. That was a mind game. There's
worked.
it did, and like I think you're supposed to do that. But when it's all said and done, if I had to pick what's more disrespectful than the other, Deontay Wilder thing was probably more disrespectful. I don't have any problems with anything to hype up a fight, especially a pay-per-view leading up to it. Once that bell rings, then be professional.
Right.
I mean, well, he strung it along right up until that bell.
So,
I don't know. I was laughing pretty hard about that.
I was too. We were
super
having
funny.
a
So,
good time.
but
All right. Well, this is definitely blown up the heavyweight division here. It's going from last year at this time to this year at this time. It's the only constant is Tyson Fury right now. Nobody saw Usyk beating Joshua. No one would see that Wilder would fight him a third time. What's next for both these guys? I mean, Wilder, I don't know. What do you fight some lower guys like Ortiz or Ruiz or something like that and try to build back up, or do you try to jump in and fight Joshua? And even though the money isn't there that it would have been 3 years ago, and then what's next for Fury? Do you fight Usyk? Do you try to get everything, or do you fight? I don't know. I don't know where do these guys go from here. It's all up in the air right now. I want to know where you guys say these guys go from here. James, let's start with you.
all right.
No matter
well,
who, just both of them. Where they
I'm
go?
answering one, and I'll go with Wilder, I guess, right off the bat. This is going to be tough. He's 35. I don't think heavyweight. You can probably go another 5 years, right? Especially he is fairly physical fit. That this, would be something that he could do. However, it's now going to solely lie on not just his mental state, but how well can he take a punch moving forward? Because he seems to get rocked real quick, real fast. So, I mean, I don't know. For me, a lot of talk for Wilder should retire. I think that's ridiculous.
I do too.
I don't think he should. I think he should stick it out for a couple more years. And to me, I think his best next step for Wilder would probably be fight Joshua. That's what I think. I think Joshua fights Wilder. That gets a fight under their belt, but they're both going to make money. It's similar styles in terms of boxing ability and power, and hopefully, if Filthy Rich is right that Scott is the trainer that he says he is, then Wilder should prove to be better in his next fight and also be a challenge to Joshua. I don't think there's really anyone else that Wilder should fight, considering he's already beaten in the division. And I don't think Ruiz is going to be a draw for him. So I think he should fight Joshua. That's what I think for Wilder.
Really, I think Ruiz might be a draw. It's a fight that they both need like a redemption from, and they're both big punchers, and I don't know. Interesting. What do you think, Filthy Rich? What's next for him? Where should he go from there?
For
which
Tyson
one?
Fury?
No, for Wilder. We'll touch on Fury after real
Okay.
fast, but where should Wilder go? Do you agree with James?
Yeah, in a general sense, yeah, I guess. 'Cause I still think Wilder has it. I don't think a Joshua fight's going to happen. But like the Ruiz, I like Ruiz. I like even like Helenius. I think Helenius is starting to build his profile. It might be too early for Helenius, but like the heavyweight division's on fire right now. You can't really go wrong with anyone for Deontay Wilder at this point, I don't think. But yeah, I kind of tend to just think inside the box, inside that PBC box. But thinking outside the box, this might, I don't know, man. Coming off a loss, you don't want to go, well, you got 2 losses in a row to the same guy, but you don't want to lose your next fight to an opponent who's not Tyson Fury. And I think Usyk beats Wilder. I think Joshua beats Wilder. Maybe do a trilogy with Luis Ortiz. I don't know for Wilder, but there are many options out there right now for him. So that's got to be my answer right now. I think anything, and I think James probably has it right.
Okay, what about Fury though? Fury should he go after the undisputed title here against Usyk? And is Usyk too fast for him? I mean, we talk about clash. Talk about clash of styles. This would be total clash of styles. James, do you want to see an undisputed champ? I mean, obviously, we all want to see an undisputed champion, but how big a money is a Usyk versus Tyson Fury fight? Is that a fight that Tyson Fury would really want to take?
Yeah, Tyson Fury will fight anyone, 100%. Especially considering what he did in this fight and what he did in the previous fight. He is backing up his talk. No matter how awkward he is, he's still getting knocked down, getting back up. He's 6'9", 270 pounds. That is difficult to match up with anyone. And Usyk is only 6'3" and 230. So he's 3 or 4 inches shorter than Wilder and the same weight. Like, way better boxer, obviously, but it's only going to take you so far, right? We were talking about Crawford and Canelo fighting each other. Eventually, size is going to become a factor. It just does for everybody, and I think that's just too big of a difference. Even with Joshua being 6'7" and 250 or whatever the hell he is, Fury is too big. I think he is the Gypsy King of the heavyweights, man. I think he's just the king of the heavyweight division. But yeah, that's what I'd say. He has to go unify it all, and then at that point, I'd probably retire if I was him.
Is he the best in your mind of this era, of the heavyweight era, of this new era? Like, does he become one of the all-time greats if he unites the belt and then retires? Is he one of the best heavyweights? I mean, he's undefeated. He fought the wars.
I don't know, man. He's got a good story, but I'll let Rich touch on that one.
All right, Rich, where does he go from here?
So there's got to be a point. Yeah, there's got to be a point where we have to start discussing Fury as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I don't think it's yet because he hasn't beaten anyone outside of Wilder and a boring Klitschko fight to get him the lineal championship. Outside of that, like, if you ask me what's next, there's like 3 logical answers, and I hate the logical answers, but yes, one of them is Usyk. You want to unify these belts. That stamps your name in the history book. That fight, I think, can happen. Anthony Joshua is the retirement fight. That's still a big money fight that can happen. I think it will happen. I think it should happen. So that is a second name I would put out there. And then obviously the third most logical one is if Dillian White beats Otto Wallin. Fury already beat Wallin close. I mean, he was cut open. That was it. But I think a Dillian White fight. But outside of that, Dillian White would be the next big name he's fought. And Fury, if he's really planning on retiring in 5 fights, he has to make probably all 3 of those fights happen before his career is over.
Does he retire undefeated? Your guys' predictions, yes or no?
Nobody does. Maybe Mayweather and Rocky. That's about it.
Mayweather got beat, and Rocky lost 27 fights. But
Rocky Marciano.
Well, Marciano ducked Muhammad Ali and beat an old Joe Louis. But
man, we ain't talking about that. Get out of here.
135-year-old.
Yes, I think he does.
You think he does? Does he become undisputed champion? Yes or no?
You're talking about Usyk right now.
We're talking
about Fury.
Well, you're talking about Fury has to beat Usyk to be undisputed champion.
Right. I said, will he become undisputed champion?
So will he beat Usyk?
Yes.
Maybe, man. Yeah, I don't know. Usyk could fight somebody else.
Man. I don't know.
Well, I'm saying that you could still retire
Usyk
undefeated and not become the undisputed title, but if that fight never happens, is my point. Is like you said, he remains undefeated. Does he become the champion, though? I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But it got interesting. We'll just put it that way. All right, guys. That was fun to break that down. We went a lot long on that one, but had an unexpected call in from Filthy Rich on his week off. And thank you for that, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your week off. And I wish I could mute you, but I don't know how to mute a phone call. So I didn't even know we were calling you. So,
hey, both you guys, good show. That Crawford Canelo, I can't wait to talk about that. Hopefully we'll get a touch on that next week or something, but I'm done with both of you.
Oh,
all right, that Filthy Rich calling in from who knows where. He doesn't tell us where he goes on his vacation or his week off. He just it's undisclosed. It's nice to hear it's not jail though, so that's good. We don't have to bail him out. All right, that's that one went a little long, but hey, I mean, if a fight that big, it definitely should go long. So I'm sure a lot of people are watching for our opinions on that one. So good thing you called in, Rich, because it's good to have your opinion on something like this, like even on your week off. All right, James, I think we should wrap this one up. What do you think?
Let's move on.
All right, let's move on. All right, that's our show this week. Thanks for Filthy Rich for calling in on his week off and throwing in his opinion on this big fight. Jimmy James, I think we had a good show as a twosome there. I don't think we've ever done just a you and me show. I mean, me and Rich have done two shows, and you and Rich have done a show together, but I don't think we've done a show together.
It's a long time coming for vacation. Yeah, a long time coming for old Rich from vacation. Yeah, it's the first time we've done a show. I didn't think it did too bad, right?
No, I think we did great. I think we did good.
We're gonna learn a lot from this fight. We're gonna improve if it ever happens again. But maybe we'll have a Raider Live Judge Jimmy James 2 in the future. You never know.
Maybe we'll work on time management for that one next time. But, it is what it is. It was a good fight to talk about. Normally we'd throw it to a Rich for a filthy minute, but I think we should go for the Judge blog here. Judge, give us your filthy minute. Any shout outs or whatever you gotta do.
You know, shout out for Rich for throwing a curveball and calling us in on the show here. Definitely was not expecting that. I mean, really, other than that, you know, thanks for tuning in. This is always a fun, good time. And me, Raider Live, Filthy Rich, we all really enjoy it. So, you know, cheers to you fans out there.
All right, that was a good filthy minute. So I'm going to take over your spot. If you're watching us and you want to listen to us, you can go to any podcasting site or say, "Hey Alexa, play Brews and Boxing," and it'll play it. If you're listening to us on the road and you want to say, "Hey, what do these guys look like?" and see my handsome mug and all my awesome backgrounds, then you go to youtube.com/brewsandboxing. Please subscribe and comment and do all the like stuff, because that really does help the algorithm. And we do this for free. We do this for fun, for the love of the sport, and for the love of doing a show for you guys. So thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. For Judge Jimmy James and Filthy Rich, I am Raider Live, and yes, I do have money on the Bucks tonight. That's probably why we film it on Thursday, just so you know. Thank you very much for joining us, and I will see you guys, well, we will see you guys next week.